I don't think there's anything that could happen in tonight's NFL draft that would make the Jets or Giants into a postseason team this year.
I'm going to take it from tonight and expand it through the rest of the draft because that's otherwise I'm not sure that I would feel the way that I feel if I stretch this thing out here. Now, we're all focused on the Giants' new quarterback. When do they find their quarterback? And I get it. That's an obviously very relevant question here. But I think what some people are glossing over is just how eventually dominant I think that this Giants defense is going to become. I don't think it's very far away. And I think if you secure Abdul Carter tonight, which I think that they will, now I think you've got a defense that is not only going to keep you in games, but eventually win you a couple of games. I mean, Sal, they lost last year by 3, by 5, by 3 in overtime, another game by 3. I do think the quarterback play is going to be better. So I think if the Giants have a good draft in totality, not just tonight.
Yeah, and I meant that, by the way. I should specify.
Okay. Then I think that the Giants will, to the shock of many, will actually be in the wild card hunt. As for the Jets, I think the Jets are a step ahead of the Giants, and if they have a solid draft, the O-line find themselves a tight end, I think the Jets will be a playoff team.
You could tell me more on the Jets, but again, to me, it's less about the draft starting tonight and then obviously through the weekend. I think the Jets have a better foundation in place right now as far as the players and the talent is concerned. Mm-hmm. And with their quarterback, you know what they're going to try to do with Justin Fields, have him run the football, make some plays there, see if he could throw the football down the field, which I don't think that he can, but I think the Jets should be somewhat competitive. The draft, you'd hope, would be able to enhance that, but I don't think this draft is going to make the Jets into a postseason team. I think they'll be around a 500 team at best, whereas the Giants, I think just we have a fundamental disagreement, you and I. I was higher on them last year. I watched it play out the same way that we all did. I think that they think, and now you think that they're better than they are or closer than they are. I'm not even sure that they're going to get Carter. I hope that that's the case. I want them to get Carter. He's the best player in the draft. I think they'd be lucky if he fell to them at number 3. Worry about the quarterback after that, which I think that they would do. I would expect them to worry about the quarterback. They're going to need one. I don't think Russell Wilson's any good. Jameis Winston, I know, is not any good. And I don't think the Giants' defense is as close as everybody else thinks. So Carter will certainly enhance that. But to a level to take them from 5-6 wins to 9-10 wins, which you probably need to get to the postseason, I'm not seeing it.
I haven't felt this way for either team in a while. Remember, you got to understand something. The Jet stuff was always driven by Rodgers, and it was less about the draft for them. Although they nailed it last year with Olu Fashanu. And it was more about, okay, is he the missing ingredient? They've got the receivers. They got this, they got that. Jets are a quarterback away, ready to win. It was never really so much about the draft and the construction or the reconstruction of a team. It was about trying to throw a dart at a board, hope you hit a bullseye, get a little lucky. I really do like the foundation that the Jets have. And, yeah, we do disagree. I really like the foundation that the Giants have. And I've been all over them. I can't really remember the last positive thing I've said about the Giants. I really haven't. But, to me, the defense is that close. If you're not watching, I'm holding my fingers very close here. Is that close to being, I think, elite?
So then Carter will take them over.
Yeah, and I think he's the only guy. Now, their
corners, I know that they have some promise, but there was regression from Banks last year. I'm not seeing an elite secondary from the Giants.
No, neither am I. But it's all hand in hand. Like one of the biggest problem with the Giants last year, and I read a quote this morning from an opposing assistant coach where he's like, once Dexter Lawrence left the field, we just knew we're running right up the gut. And what that does is that obviously takes away the effectiveness of corners, and now it's third and short, and they just kind of bleed you out and you're dead. I think if you get somebody like Carter, I think they will, or if they were to, because you're not going to take Mason Graham third, but if they traded down, and we've talked a lot about the possibilities of the Giants trading down, and they get somebody like Mason Graham to plug in next to Dexter Lawrence, then I think that solves their biggest issue on defense. And once that biggest issue on defense is solved, now the pass rushers could go eat. Because when you're not getting gashed on 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, when everything, when the opponent knows that all they have to do with their offense is set you up in a down and distance situation where we got to get a yard, even if it's a long yard or 2, we got the horses, you don't. That is an impossible way to play football. You can't win, and the secondary can't do anything.
But didn't you think that the Giants, because I did, and as a matter of fact, I remember having these conversations with you, that we thought going into the year, the Giants' defense was going to be their identity.
Yes. We did, no question.
And it was a disappointment last year.
Because they couldn't stop the run.
Okay, I don't think it was just that.
That's where it starts.
Fair enough, but still it happened. It's not, I don't believe that one player is going to change that this year. I'm not sure about the coaching defensively. Remember, the Giants have been through some changes here, most notably Wink Martindale. But anyway, the secondary regressed, so then there was some talk about, is it the players or is it the different system? Burns wasn't as impactful as I expected him to be a year ago. Kayvon Thibodeaux has never really taken that next step to be a consistent performer. So while they have some names and certainly some talent and some reasons to be hopeful, I don't think that they're close to being that elite defense yet. Now, Abdul Carter can maybe change that because he could be one singular impactful player along with Sexy Dex that can really, now you're talking about two guys that could wreck a game, but I don't know. Burns as well, you throw them in there if you get the best version of him, but I don't know that I'm saying that it's going to be good enough to make them a postseason team.
I don't want to sound like a coach because I'm not, and nobody wants to hear that. But honestly, just basic football talk right now. You come out, you're playing the Giants, right?
Yeah.
And they got Burns and they got Thibodeaux. And we've said what we said about Kayvon. He's good. He's not great. Whatever. We're on the record with that. But he's certainly a fairly skilled pass rusher. And they've got some guys that can go get the quarterback, right? Obviously, Dexter is fantastic. You come out, you play the Giants. You say, okay, we're going to run. And we're not going to put ourselves in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 2nd and 11 because we do a handoff on 1st and 10. We lose a yard. Now, all of a sudden, when you do that, and again, I'm not trying to sound like a coach here, but when you do that regularly and you can impose your will on the Giants, as all these teams did the last couple of years, what does that do? That renders the greatest strength of the Giants, the ability to get after the pass rusher with fast, quick twitch. I always say quick twitch guys.
I knew that was coming.
I know, but it does apply to some of them. You can't sack the quarterback when it's 3rd and 1. But when it's 2nd and 11 and it's 3rd and 8 and it's 3rd and 9, you can pin your ears back and know, they got to throw. Well, now that we know that you're throwing, now we're coming and you can't stop us. And if you have somebody next to Dexter Lawrence that alleviates that double team, dude, the entire defense changes.
Yeah, I hope that they're going to be good. I would expect that they got to be at least a little bit better than what they were. The Giants have been one of the worst teams in football the last 2 years.
No question. Even though outside of the one good year, really last 10 years, they've been one of the worst teams.
But if you focus on the last 2 years and with Dable, and even with that, it's not like, their defense is great and they just can't score any points. Yeah, the offense has stunk, but the defense hasn't been great either. The way that they were in 2015 with McAdoofus when he was running the show, and it was supposed to be an offensive team, but yet they were built on the great defense. And, that to me was a great defense that carried this team on into the postseason. This, I'm not seeing it yet. It's not that it can't happen. I don't think they're as close as you think that they are. And then you go to the other side of the ball where the offense is the best friend of a good defense. If they're not playing from behind, all the points you're talking about. Yep. Being able to run the football, maybe keep the defense, give the defense some rest, all those different things. I don't think that they have the ability to do that, even with the upgrade, in their minds, upgrade of Russell Wilson. Because if it is an upgrade, it's an incremental upgrade over what they had last year.
I'm going to simplify this on a comedically juvenile level, right? The Giants, I think, will score more points this year.
Right.
Than last year.
Dude.
No, I know. So I think that's a statement most people would say, okay, that's fair. That's not nuts. He's not out of his mind yet.
But by accident, they should be able to do that. But
True. And then I believe strongly the defense will give up fewer points than they did a year ago. And by the way, make more splash plays and be off the field less, which means they're well rested, blah, blah, blah. So you score more points, you give up fewer points, you got a better team right away. Just simple math.
Now, the other thing about tonight, why are we so sure that Abdul Carter is going to be there? I know it feels like that's the case based on almost every mock draft and what a lot of people are saying. But if we believe the reports of Schrager and Baldy, and there seems to be some momentum that there's going to be a blockbuster deal within the top 5, and the 3 names that were out there would be either Carter, Hunter, or the running back Genty, then and if we all think that Carter's the best player, and I wouldn't want Hunter if I'm the Giants, I want Carter, are we certain he's going to be there? That could throw a whole wrench into everything. Now, I know you said, well, okay, trade down and get Mason Graham, which could still help. I think it really does hinge on Carter, where he immediately would help take the Giants to a much better level defensively. And I'm not sure just yet that he's going to be there at number 3.
Okay, I think he's going to be there. I almost feel like he already knows that he's going to be a Giant. I can't prove that. I just, the intimations and the wry smiles, I just feel like he knows that, well, not only the Giants going to take him, but I think more importantly for the Giants to be able to take him, that the Browns aren't taking him. I feel like he has an assurance there.
But what if they trade out of 2? I guess that would be the way.
That's true. That's a possibility. But I want to throw this at you, or specific to the trade fodder, which it's been presented as big. It's not just, well, listen, we might see some activity here.
No.
You use the word blockbuster.
Right.
So maybe we're misreading this. Maybe it's not about the players in the draft. Maybe it's about somebody that's already in the NFL that might get dealt tonight.
Well, yesterday there was a report about Trevor Lawrence being not Trevor Lawrence, the Jaguars being in there, and it made me think about Trevor Lawrence. Remember, you're trying to put all the pieces together. Schrager comes out and says the number 2 picks and number 3 pick, Giants and Browns, receiving calls, and the Giants and Browns both willing to listen to that, and he named the 3 players that I just referenced before. Then you hear Baldy say top 5. Within the top 5, he knows something is going to happen. Didn't want to say it yet, but he knows what's going to happen, and he used the term blockbuster. So now you're doing the math. And then last night, I forget what the exact report was, but I read a report about the Jaguars being involved. My first thought was, well, if the Jaguars are involved in a blockbuster, they had the number 5 pick, so it's not like they're going from 12 or 17 to trade in.
Correct.
You have the number 5 pick. What would a blockbuster involving the Jaguars be? And I started thinking maybe Trevor Lawrence would potentially be available. And look, I didn't even
to who would be the most aggressive pursuer? Because it's a very interesting thought.
Yeah.
Now, we just got paid.
I don't know. Could it be Cleveland? Probably not, because of the quarterback situation with
Deshaun Watson and the dead money.
And then I would say,
not.
Could it be the Giants because of? Maybe
Giants. Could you imagine if the Giants traded for Trevor Lawrence?
Well, I would say no because of Russell Wilson, but. Maybe the Jaguars are like, you know what? We want to trade up to number 2, or number 3. We'll give you Trevor. I don't know. Again,
nobody knows, but it's not reckless speculation based on the way it's been presented.
If you hear Jaguars and blockbuster, how is it possible the Jaguars are going to make a blockbuster move from number 5 without?
I'm not thinking Travis Etienne, to your point.
Yeah, there's only
I'm
one
thinking
name
the quarterback.
Anyway, so that's just more speculation to it here, but I'm not sure, BT, of Carter being there at 3. And if he's not, then I think everything is wide open for what the Giants could possibly do. And I also don't think it's going to be the home run that you talked about yesterday where they could potentially get Carter and then trade back in and get a quarterback. And with the quarterbacks, you're hearing Jackson Dart, you're hearing Shuck. I don't think there's any way the Giants get Dart if they pass up on him on number 3.
I would probably agree with that unless they were to trade.
Like 7 or 9 or something like that.
Yeah, I think he's going to go fairly fast. I just saw another mock. Again, mocks are for clicks and whatever, but take it for what it's worth. Probably a grain of salt, probably nothing, or less than that. But this morning I saw number 26, Shador, going to the Rams. So, his fall seems to be gaining some more steam. Listen, we've watched a lot outside of 2022 with the Giants. We have watched a lot of bad football for a long time. And most of these times, going back to when you and I were doing the draft show a couple of years ago, when the Giants had 2 top 10 picks, the Jets had 2 top 10 picks. For the most part, now obviously just speaking for myself now, I go into these drafts from a Jets and a Giants perspective saying, all right, I hope they nail it, but really there's nothing that they can do tonight that can elevate my belief in their ability to have a big season. I feel differently this year. I might be nuts. I feel different.
BT, it's Al on the Fan. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Jesse is in Lawrence. What's up, Jesse?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, Jess.
All right. So I hear you guys talking about maybe beefing up the Giants' defensive line with Abdul Carter, but if you really believe that the Giants are like 1 or 2 steps away from being a playoff team, what do you think about maybe the Giants trading Kayvon Thibodeaux and the 3rd pick of the draft for Myles Garrett? And then the Browns can get Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders and totally revamp their whole team.
Jess, I've seen some. By the way, when I say I'll stand by it, but I think the Giants are a step away from having a great defense. It's more about the defense, and so not that I don't think they can be a playoff team. I do, but I think it's more about the defense, just to be clear. Now, I have heard, I'm sure you have as well, that Kayvon Thibodeaux's name's been floated around a little bit.
Yeah.
And if the Giants are not compelled to give him that 5th-year deal, and let's face it, I don't think that they should be, then why wouldn't he be on the table tonight? He would be.
Especially if you're talking about drafting Abdul Carter.
Yeah, would that constitute a blockbuster?
But what's the... Yeah, okay, but...
I think it would.
Yeah, but what's the trade? What's the move for?
Well, he said Myles Garrett. I have no idea.
I
don't think that's going to be... Yeah.
Cleveland's not trading Garrett. They just signed him. Then went through the whole thing where he demanded a trade. Then he's coming back. They signed him. So Cleveland's not trading Myles Garrett. No chance that that's happening. I would be more... There are 2 keys for me in this draft. Leave the Jets aside for a second because we've talked about it yesterday where the Jets are in a nice spot where they can really do anything. Just pick the best player available. If you don't love somebody, trade down, get more picks, take the best player. There's no clear need for the Jets, or for me, in my mind, one clear pick. You mentioned it. They could go offensive lineman if he's there. If not, maybe you go Tyler Warren.
Yep.
If not, maybe they trade out of it. If they love a quarterback, trade down, love a quarterback, take a quarterback. There's two things at play. Number one, will Abdul Carter be there at number 3?
I believe strongly yes.
Okay.
Almost guarantee it.
The second one is, how are they getting their quarterback, and who is it going to be? Because you're reading mixed things. Let's eliminate Shedeur Sanders. He's the lightning rod, but let's say that they don't love him. Do you think the Giants like Jackson Dart?
They should.
Okay, I think so too.
I don't know. I mean, they should.
Who would be your? Did we even go over this? Like our top quarterbacks who you would rank?
I don't know that we did it quite so formally. I like Dart and I like Jalen Milroe. Those are my two guys.
So we're the same boat. Based on the stuff that I'm reading about it, same boat. Shuck has been reported for the Giants. I wouldn't do it. I know that they're going to do it, maybe do a project quarterback later in the draft, whatever. Although he seems to be maybe one of the more ready quarterbacks now, saying he could go in and fit a pro-style offense. I would go Dart or Milroe. I don't believe there's any way the Giants can get Dart if they don't take him early in the first round. Meaning, if you are going to trade out of 3, it's going to have to be, let's say, top 10 and maybe even before the Saints at 9. I'm not sure Dart gets beyond that. So now it comes down to, we like Milroe. I don't know if the Giants do. And if they do, is he going to be there? And if everybody else likes Milroe and his athleticism, I know some projecting him in the second round, whatever, but maybe if Dart's off the board and maybe the Steelers don't like Sanders, maybe they go Milroe. My point is that the Giants are playing a very dangerous game of chicken, where if they don't select a quarterback that they love early enough in the first round, now you could thread the needle and get both, Carter, and trade back up and get the quarterback that they love. But if they don't select the quarterback that they love early, he might be off the board.
Well, listen, here's the thing. It's definitely a dangerous game, and it is a little chicken. Understood. But that's what good GMs navigate. You know, that's what all the great franchises do. You don't think that when Ozzie Newsome traded in and, for the last pick and got a superstar quarterback that's going to be on the Hall of Fame, you don't think that he was reading the board and, all right, 27th pick, 28th pick, all right, calling up GMs who he's friends with and collecting intel. Hey, I don't know, Rams, I don't know where the Rams are. Rams, you're not thinking, no, okay. Get enough information to give him the confidence to continue with his plan? The answer is absolutely yes. It's not like he sat there and he woke up on draft day like Kevin Costner and said, listen, if this guy's, maybe there early in the second round, maybe a couple hours into the draft, I'll make a call and I'll see if I can swing a deal at 32 and try and get him. This was so well plotted out and so well orchestrated and choreographed, because that's what the great personnel people do. And quite frankly, that's why the Jets and the Giants have sucked for so long, because their people have been inept and awful at their jobs. And if Joe Shane's going to stick around for a while, how about you be great for once? Don't be good. Don't be average. Don't be bad. Crush it tonight, because he's got a chance. He really does. If he reads this perfectly and plays it great, he's got a chance to be here for a decade, and he's got a chance to shoot this thing to the moon.
And I don't trust that he will, nor do I think they're making selecting a quarterback enough of a priority, which is kind of what I'm saying. It's a dangerous game there. All right, we'll have more of your calls when we come back. I know you guys are fired up, want to talk about the draft just like we do. 888-808-1019, BT and Sal on the Fan.